What's up, everybody? It's your boy Darkskater7, and last time we had a video about the ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero. We didn't know if it worked or not. We knew we got it, we didn't know if it worked. So what we did for this is we set up a bench check. So you have to excuse all the wires that are all over the place, because this is very important work here we do. Scientific. It's borderline world-saving type stuff, if you know what I mean. Just saying. Anyway, so in order to bench check this motherboard, what I ended up having to do was first clean it off. And I suspected that maybe something was different or something was going on with it because there was some thermal paste on the CPU socket. So what I ended up doing was getting a soft bristle brush, brushing it over where the pinholes are, and then using compressed air to blow all that stuff out of there. Also, what I did was took a Q-tip with some alcohol, and I ended up cleaning the board in some areas where maybe some paste was, and then checking the board for any burns or anything like that where the trace marks are, or where the traces are. Turn it over, make sure that there was no damage there as well, and then let it dry overnight. So with that being said, in order to test it, we need some spare parts. What you're looking at right now is basically a computer without the case. So first things first, we got our board here. Went ahead and hooked up a keyboard. I also went ahead and hooked up an old 2700X Ryzen, and then hooked up the cooler, the box fan cooler here. Hooked up my memory, 3200 megahertz Trident Z RGB or something like that, and then found an old, very old MSI graphics card. Also, to do this, we also need a power supply. So I had an old ROG Thor 1200 watt, 1200 watt power supply, and I hooked that up. Now, as you can see, it is not plugged in right now. So we have everything hooked up. We have our pins hooked up for our power for our GPU. We have our pins hooked up for our motherboard power. We also have our pins hooked up for our CPU power. I went ahead and hooked up a DisplayPort cable to this, and it's hooked up to my monitor right there. So what we're looking for is to make sure that this motherboard posts. I do not have any NVMe drives hooked up right now or mounted, and I don't have an operating system on this motherboard right now. The only thing we're going to be working on is the BIOS that's already installed on this motherboard. So with that being said, what we want to do is we want to take our power supply and we want to plug that in. Just make sure we plug that in correctly. All right, and we want to flip the switch. Let's see if we go. Okay, good deal. So as you can see, we do have power because you can see the LEDs for the ROG turned on. Also our switch right there, and also our LED, whatever you want to call it, RGB stuff, it's on. So we're gonna do the moment of truth. I'm gonna press power, and we can hear everything starting to ramp up. So now what we're looking for is, it could sit like this for a while, but we wanna make sure that it does post. We're gonna watch that monitor right there. Looks like we got something. Come on, baby. You can do it, man. It looks like we got a post. Now, if it kicks us over to the interface of the BIOS, that means we're good. And we're good. It lives. All right. So as we can see, go ahead and zoom in right there. You can see that we are running, we can see our frequency 3700 megahertz. The temperature is 31C. What else do we got here? The memory frequency is 2133 megahertz. So usually, and I want to say like probably about 99% of the time, if you get some RAM, chances are the manufacturer is going to set it at default at 2133 megahertz. You can always go into your BIOS and you can change that speed to the actual rated speed, because the speed that we have is 3200 megahertz. You can go into the BIOS and you can change that if you were to go up to extreme tweaker right there. And I might make a video on that maybe a little bit later on if anybody wants that. But for the most part, what we were looking for is for it to post. It did post. So now that we know that our motherboard is functional, we can actually power down. And then whenever I get a chance to, I will be taking this ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero, and I'll be placing it into my case, into my current build right now. And I'll take my old Crosshair 8 and I'll put it back in the box and probably use it for another build, because there's nothing wrong with it actually. So with that being said, Thank you guys for tuning in as usual. I'm glad I was able to do this and share this with you guys. Make sure that you're liking the videos. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share them. Leave comments in the comment section and let me know some ideas of things that you want me to make videos on. And I'll definitely do that. If you got questions on any of the older videos, as you can see, I always try to answer all the questions that you guys throw to me. And if I can't find the answer, I'll make sure I research it for you guys.